In the last class, lecture till 4, we did complete learning outcome 1. Today, we will start doing LO2. This is not difficult, but the points associated under the indicative content might, maybe for some of you feel that it's difficult, but it's not. I'll try to explain it in a better way. Okay, let's start with the heading of LO2, that is, understand how to gather information for strategic decision making. Uh, Obviously, there are certain methods, there are certain steps, and even techniques and tools which we are using for the strategic decision making. It is just not only about gathering the authentic, reliable information and knowledge. There are certain steps and procedures which we perform, and then we are able to get the perfect information which are used for making the strategic decision making. So we're going to discuss that here. Strategic decision making requires accurate, relevant, and timely information from diverse sources. The process involves identifying goals, gathering data, evaluating its quality, and analyzing it to make informed choices that support long term objectives. So, here, solely the strategic decision making is the perfect in time information, which is relevant as well. With that, it could be from primary sources, secondary sources, then it could be from the niche sources, with that the qualitative and quantitative resources too. So information gathering is not going to be from one aspect, it could be from different. The first point is defining the goal. Why we're defining it? Clarify the purpose of the decision to guide the information gathering process. Obviously,
Ma'am, these are, indicative contents, right? Define the strategic goals.
for the LO2, the heading,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This one.
no, there are no indicative content. It's just a
Okay.
general information. But for a 2.1, we do have two kinds of indicative content. I'll tell you how.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
All right. Clarify the purpose of the decision to guide the information gathering process. That is why we're going to do it, because it's an expensive plus time-taking process. For example, if a company aims to expand into new markets, the focus will be on the market research, consumer demographics, and competitor analysis. Why? Because they're expanding into different markets. They're not confining their products and they're making only in one market. It's going to be different. And with that, they are going to target different categories. Only then they are able to know that why they're doing it. Then we have identify sources of information. Sources of information, again, from where you are grabbing it. The first is internal source. Internal source is the source which you are getting from the inside. And the examples are financial reports, that is, all the reports which are related to the budget. Consumer feedback, the most initial one. Once you make the consumer happy, then everything is going to be right. Employee insights, what is the motivation factor? What they are producing and how they're producing, what is the time factor too. Then operational data, the daily working data. For that, you're going to use key performance indicators and productivity metrics. This is for the employee. Application. A retail chain like Marks and Spencer may analyze internal sales data to identify trends in consumer preference. Just to know what is in between the consumer market, they are going to analyze the sales which are internally going on. Then external sources, for example, external sources are from the outside and they are market research reports. You're going to gather all the information in the market which is essential for your project, for the product making. Competitor analysis, what your competitors are doing. We're going to do that, like Marks and Spencer, Sainsbury, like that. Industry publications, overall, what kind of product we are targeting. We do have, just like a market, we have an industry for it, a food industry or a clothing industry. Government statistics, everything is abide by them, all the rules, regulations, compliances. So we need to make them happy and follow all the rules and regulations too. Last, data from the consultants and think tanks. Again, they are the one who are actually doing the observation part. They're sharing the opinions, what they think, and what they are doing for the whole purpose. Application. A UK-based SME might use reports from the Statista or the Office for the National Statistics to understand industry growth. Now, these both organizations are abide by the government, and why they are tackling up the information from these sources, because they need to see that which industry is growing at more faster pace. Use research methodologies, primary research and secondary research. Primary is always the first-hand information, and the secondary one is the one you have already done the work, you're going to improve it or put your input into it. Primary is collecting the original data directly. For example, the methods are going to be the surveys, interviews, focus groups, observations. Now, focus group is the one which are specifically for a certain commodity and a certain community, both. You're going to give them different products and you're going to analyze them. And with that, you're going to demography them, like people from the age of 9 to 10, then 15 to 16. For example, conducting a survey to assess consumer satisfaction with the product line. In the organization when we are manufacturing goods and services, we do have a product line as well. And for that, we need to make sure that our consumers are happy. First, we launch the shampoo, then we're working on the conditioner, and then so on and so on. Secondary research, use pre-existing data from the credible sources, the authentic one. Methods could be the industry reports, academic journals, and governmental databases. For example, startup researching competitive pricing strategies using online databases. Because they're the small SME kind of thing, what they're doing, they're using the information from the authentic websites which is available online. Now, starting with the assessment criteria 2.1, and all the points are from your indicative content. Evaluate strengths and limitations of a range of information gathering, tools and techniques to support strategic decision making. Here you have to focus on the command word itself, the command word main strengths and weaknesses, similarities and differences, judgment, and a conclusion. When you fulfill all these four things, then you come up with the full description of the command verb. And the question itself is asking about the strengths and limitations of what? Of the tools and techniques which we are using for the information purpose in making the strategic decision making. Strategic decision making is integral to achieving long-term goals, and robust information gathering is vital for this process. A range of tools and techniques are employed, each offering unique advantages and facing specific limitations. Now, in this process, in the whole decision-making process, we are using it for the long-term goals. This is not for the short term, for 1 year or 6 months. It is going to be more than that. And there are certain tools and techniques which we are going to read. And with that, we will be watching out the strengths and limitations. First is Management Information System, MIS. For example, the definition says, MIS are the software and the hardware systems designed to collect, process, and provide relevant data for managerial decision making. This is a software which is in the systems, and with that, it is used in the organizations. It could be of any kind. What it does collect the information, it processes it, and whosoever needs it for making the decision, they are going to use that. And it's for the managerial, and managerial is specifically for the organization if working from internal purpose. Strengths, integrates data from the various departments, offering a comprehensive overview, HR, R&D, marketing, manufacturing, and you're going to have that information saved in MS. It's going to be helpful. Anybody can have it, the one who is the employee of that organization. Reduce error through automation because it gets easy. Enables real-time monitoring and reporting for the quick adjustments. There is some problem, there is some glitch. Just search on the specific portal that's for the MIS, and you're going to get the report. For example, Tesco uses an MIS to monitor inventory levels, stock levels, and consumer buying patterns, which product is selling up the most, helping optimize stock management. If you think it's going to run out soon, you will be calling up the stock house and they're going to fill up that space. Limitations. Implementation can be costly and time consuming. Obviously, it's a big system, it's expensive at the same time, and it is time consuming too. Requires skilled personnel to maintain and operate. The person who has a proper knowledge of IT, skills, and all the internet related issues. Over-reliance may overlook qualitative or human insights. Why? Because you are more into the automation. rather than manual working or human power. Everything is instilled in the system. So first method is clear, MIS.
Ma'am, can you explain for the strength first point? I didn't understand that. From strengths, yeah. Integrates data from various departments, like how? You get it.
Because it's a system, MIS is a system, we are going to collect the information for every department. There is a system going on. I'm from the HR department, whatever is important or what's going on, upcoming events, the projects we want to conglomerate or we want to overtake, I'm going to write that in the document and that will be pasted automatically at the MIS. So anyone from another department, from the manufacturing, marketing can fetch that data and can reschedule everything accordingly. They can see what's going on in the other departments. That is the main purpose of the MIS, and it's a strength as well. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Filtering methods. Filtering methods sift through large data sets to extract relevant and actionable insights. Filtering is the one in which you are extracting the information, the one which is relevant for your organization or for your department. You're going to work on that. Rest, just like an email, the rest is automatically goes into the spam and junk. Strength helps manage information overload. You're not going to be overboard with it. Improves focus by prioritizing the key data. The one which is more important is going to be at the top level. For example, Netflix uses filtering algorithms to recommend personalized content based on viewing history. What you like the most, what you search the most, automatically you're going to get the recommendations. Just like on the YouTube too and other apps. Limitations may exclude less obvious but significant data. Why? Less obvious? Because in the organization, everything is under the system. And here we are using the filtering method. So the most important one are at the first priority, but the others, which are important too, but way too least. So they're bothered sometimes. Heavily reliant on accurate algorithm design. What you like, what is best for you, you're going to watch the content exactly same. So you cannot go and search new things or not the algorithm gonna show you. Primary versus secondary research. Data collected directly through the surveys, interviews, or experiments. That is the first-hand data, whereas secondary is pre-existing data such as reports, articles, and market analysis. The one which has already been researched and people are using it, you're only going to put an extra input into it. Strengths of the primary is tailored to specific business needs. Not every organization is intended to use the primary research. Few do rely on the secondary too. Provide fresh, relevant insights. That is, when you're working on the primary report and the research, everything is going to be new. You will be producing something unique, something way too creative. For example, a startup conducting focus groups to refine a new product. Because startup is again an SME, they are trying hard to penetrate in the market and adjust in the competition. And with that, they're going to target certain group of people. Only then they can be successful. Strengths of secondary research is cost effective and less time intensive. It is expensive, but with that, it has reduced the time limit. Offers a wide scope of data. You can tackle a lot of data in it in the secondary research because it's already done, and not only one person did the research on it. There's input of so many people. For example, Unilever leveraging industry reports to assess consumer behavior globally. You already know that Unilever is a brand. People have done so many research on it. They have their own opinion. Every author is having own opinion and researcher. So we can do our respect on it as well about their policies and different programs going on. Limitations from the primary research is primary research can be expensive at time consuming, yes, because you're doing it for the very first time. Maybe you can make mistakes too. Secondary research might lack relevance or be outdated because that's true. When even our instructors in the university used to tell us that do the research on XYZ topic and industry, we used to find those topics which are more latest because it is quite readily available on the internet. The papers of 90s and 80s, they're easily accessible to. Then we have qualitative versus quantitative data. Qualitative is descriptive insight, such as consumer opinions and feedback. Descriptive is the one which you You can describe things in it, you can write, you have opinion, what you thought, what you think. You can actually write in it. There is a two-way respondent communication. Whereas in the quantitative data, everything is numerical based on the numbers, such as sales figures and metrics. Metrics here could be the KPI and the performance indicator. The strengths of qualitative is provides in-depth understanding of motivations and behaviors. What kind of factors imitate the people, the employees, to be more motivated, and how they are performing with the more fringe benefits added, or some other activities, and making their behaviors more suitable in the organization for everyone. For example, Apple analyzing consumer sentiments, that is the emotions, through interviews during the product launches. Whenever they actually launch a new iPhone Series 2, you have always seen that there is a hype created. And that's what? That's a sentiment. Strengths of quantitative data, easy to measure, compare, and analyze. Why? Because it's numerical based data. There are softwares inbuilt. Useful for identifying trends and forecasting. Mostly it is in the use in stats and statistica, the quantitative softwares and the data. For example, sales performance analysis by the Amazon. What product is at the front line and which is not. Limitations. Qualitative data is subjective and harder to standardize. Why? Because it's a descriptive narrative, it's not the other one. That is why it's difficult. Whereas quantitative data may oversimplify complex human behaviors. This is a limitation. Why? Because again, we're depending on the system. Everything is on the laptops and the specific inbuilt softwares. That is why it makes the human behaviors complex sometimes. Questionnaires and surveys. Starting with the fifth one, that's the questionnaires and surveys. Structured tools used to gather data from a targeted audience. Again, you're going to target few people. It could be a focus group. It could be certain demographic, adults, youngs, or toddlers. And then you're going to apply different techniques on it. With that, you're going to ask questions and surveys to know what they likes and the dislikes. Strength is easy to administer at scale. That is, from scale 0 to 10, what will be the rating? From very good, average, agree, disagree. We do fill the questionnaires like this in most of the times. Thus, this is what it is, administer at the scale. And that's the CSR score too. It provides measurable and comparable results. Why? Because it's a quantified data. For example, Starbucks survey consumers to improve its loyalty program. You people remember that consumers have Starbucks, they have a program going on, and the consumers are quite loyal to it. So they have different surveys through which they tackle everything. Limitations, response rates can be low. Why? Because not everyone is interested in fulfilling the questionnaires and surveys. Few people just skip. Poorly designed questions may lead to biased or unreliable results. Whenever we are planning to make the questions for the questionnaires and surveys, we need to be very fluent with that, fluctuated as well. You cannot just make the questions boring and long. They should be short and to the point. Critical incidents, definition, analyzing significant events to identify causes, patterns, and lessons learned. Why? Analyzing significant events to identify causes. What was the cause of the issue? Why you are taking this method for the specific decision making? Patterns, you're going to compare it with the previous years and previous projects, and lessons learned, the outcomes, the mistakes you're not going to do again. Provides actionable insights for the future contingency planning. Why actionable insights for the future contingency planning? We all know that whenever we take a decision or we are going to take a decision, there are risks associated with it. Just to overcome that, we always make backup plans. These are called contingency planning. For example, an airline examining a major delay to enhance operational efficiency. Sometimes our flights are delayed. It is due to weather, and sometimes there's a technical glitches in the plane. Limitations, limited scope as it focuses only on extreme cases, that is the one which are more crucial. That is why it's based as a critical incident. This does not happen every time and every day. may miss everyday operational insights due to that problem, whatever XYZ arises. You're going to not focus on the daily operation, and that happens as well because your all energy is going to on that specific issue. Yes, what if scenarios? That is, whenever we opt for the projects, there is always a question: what if this happens? What if our budget is not up to the mark? What if this natural calamity occurs? What will be our next step? These are the basic questions. Simulation based techniques that explore possible outcomes under varying assumptions. Because whenever we are going for new techniques and new projects, we always ask these questions. These are known as simulation based techniques questions. These are very necessary. And only through this, we are able to go for the contingency planning. Strength, support, risk analysis, and preparation. You're taking precautionary measures beforehand. Encourages proactive decision making. That is the one if things happen bad or worse, what will be the possible measures we're going to take? You're not going to talk, you will be taking it. For example, BP models oil price fluctuation to prepare for the market changes. How they overcome that issue? They were able to fluctuate the prices of the oil in all over the globe. Limitations, however, are highly dependent on the assumptions which may not reflect reality because these are not true. What if is a assumption. Maybe this happens, maybe it's not. There are bias situation. It requires expertise to create and interpret scenarios. Just like the case studies, they are mostly based on assumption. Decision modeling. Graphical or mathematical representations of decision paths and their outcomes. Like I remember in our maths class, we used to have line graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, and so on. And a pie chart was the easiest one, even to draw as well and even to assess as well. It's quite easy to interpret as compared to the other graph, star graph, line graph, and the bar one. It's always difficult and it's help in the modeling of the decision making. The strength is provides a structured framework for evaluating alternatives to have both biasness questions as well as weaknesses too. It reduces the subjectivity in decision making. That is, you are going to ask less questions and you are going to work more on the material. For example, logistics companies like DHL uses decision trees to optimize delivery routes. If you remember in the mathematics class, we used to make decision tree. It was literally like a probability decision. Okay. Limitations relies on the accuracy of input data, the data which you are going to add in the decision made modeling, in the pie charts, in the bar graphs, and so on. That is what is more important. Sometimes you're not able to add the correct numbers or the quantity. Then obviously your trend is not going to be perfect, nor your pie chart, nor the bar. May oversimplify complex problems. Why? There are certain issues which are quite complex and they need a proper attention, but due to these graphs, it makes things very easy. Okay. Then we have number 9. That's creative thinking or the cognitive thinking, the one from your central part of the brain, being more innovative. Definition: a method that involves brainstorming and innovative approaches to generate new ideas. Brainstorming, whatever things clicks your mind for the very first time, and the question which comes in your mind, just start grabbing it down. That is what brainstorming is. Strength encourages unconventional and innovative solutions. Why? Nobody knew that once we are going to have the airplanes, helicopters, and so on. We never had that in the 80s and 50s and 16s too. But today we have it. Example, Lego used creative thinking to diversify its product line, boosting the market share. Why they use the creative thinking? You can just make one thing for a longer period of time if you have a good branding and a loyal customer chain line. But if you're more creative and innovative, then definitely you're going to have larger market share in the industry. Then we have limitations. Difficult to measure and quantify outcomes. Why it is very difficult to measure? Because it's all about your creative thinking. You cannot measure it. You can only talk about it. Relies on the creativity and experience of the participants. Now it depends on the mood as well. Sometimes you do have the idea in the mind, but you do not have words. The mind does not support the tongue. The situation happens a lot. Then we have general strengths. Till slide 23, we're done with all the points for indicative content. Now, these are the general things which are related to the question. General strengths of the information gathering tools. First is facilitates the comprehensive and informed decision making. That is making it more in a summarized form. It just helps you out in perfect decision making. It encourages collaboration and the data sharing across departments because we have instilled management information system softwares and so on as well. CRM too. So it helps in what? In collaborating and sharing the data more perfectly and in time process. It combines objective data with the subjective insights, the one which you're thinking and the one which you have to take the actions. General limitations. Resource intensive in terms of time, money, and expertise. Why? Because already you're facing the problem of scarce resources. And when it comes in using different tools and techniques to process up with the strategic decision making, we need to have a look at the time factor, the money factor, and the expertise factor as well. Because the people you're going to hire, every person is going to settle down with the different rates, salary. Risk of outdated or incomplete information. It happens in the tools and techniques problem because sometimes in the organization they do not change the method. They are just sticking at one thing. They are not working on the factor of continuous improvement. Over reliance on the particular tools may limit the diversity of the perspectives. Why? Because we are overly depending on the tools and techniques, and with that, totally depending on the internet and the technology. We are lacking the human resource. That's so important as well. We need to hire people with latest and expertise. Similarities and differences. Most tools aim to improve the data accuracy, facilitate collaboration, and enhance forecasting. Now, this was the overall similarity of the tools and techniques for the strategic decision making. Why? Because first, it helps in making the data perfectly fine for us, accurate, reliable. Then facilitate collaboration with the departments and forecasting. We can help see. It can help us to see what we can achieve in the future. With that, the proactive measures are also there. Differences, however, tools vary in complexity. Not every kind of method, process, or tool can be used in every kind of situation or strategic decision making. It depends on the type of decision making, on the type of organization, and the structure. Cost, the money, budget, scalability, the rate of scale, and the data type, whether it's qualitative or the quantitative. Combining multiple tools and techniques for the information gathering enhances strategic decision making. When we are going to combine every tools and technique, few of them, not everything can be utilized at one stance, it gets easy. For example, the IMS, that is Management Information System, it can provide quantitative data for the twin analysis. So the system, what it is helping us, the MIS, it's helping us to collect the quantitative data, that is the numerical one, and we're going to do the twin analysis on it. While the critical incidents and the creative thinking offer the qualitative insights for the innovation because we are working on our thinking, our skills, what we are thinking, and we can write that, we can talk about it. It does not include any numbers or figures or nor the calculation. The key is to evaluate the organizational goals and resources to select the most suitable groups. Why? Because ultimately, the decision we are taking in the organization, they need to be aligned with the goals and objectives of the organization as a whole. A balanced approach, integrating various methods, ensures well-rounded and effective decision-making process. When you're going to be quite thoughtful for it, then definitely you're going to come up with the excellent decision-making policies and skills. That's it for today. In lecture 6, inshallah, we will be completing LO2, 2.2 and 2D1. Yes.